Hey everybody, thanks for joining for another Unity tutorial. So, what we're going to be doing in this video is working on a health system. So first of all, I'm going to create a UI canvas. This is what stores our UI elements. I'm just going to rename this to Game UI Elements. Within this canvas, I'm going to create a UI panel. This is where I'm going to store the health. Then I'm going to make this invisible or transparent. Then I'm going to create the health. So first of all, I'm going to create a empty. In this empty, I'm going to rename this to health bar. Then within this health bar, I'm going to create two UI images. I'm going to have one for the border, and then I'm going to have another one for the fill. Then I'm going to take the health bar, or I'm going to take both of these and I'm going to make these both. I'm going to go to the anchor and then I'm going to make it be stretch. And then I'm going to go to the health bar and I'm going to resize it. So I'm going to make it be about that, go to the bottom, right, about like that. Make it be a little bit longer, a little bit taller, just however I want the health bar to look like. And you can put it wherever you want, and depending on where you put it, you have to set the anchor point. So since this is on the bottom right, I want to anchor it to the bottom right. So I have my health bar. Now the border, I want to then have the image that I'm going to, I think I already added it onto here. Yeah, this. So I'm going to go to the border, and I'm going to change the source image to being the equals. I'm going to put in the fill above the border so that it puts it behind. If I go to the fill, I can change the color to being something more like red, so it looks more like a health bar. Then I can go to the actual health bar object, and then I can add a component called slider. On the slider, I'm going to need to add a fill, which I'm going to use the fill that was the red. I'm going to go down, as you can see there's a value, and I can change this value, and that's how much the health I'm going to have. So as you can see, I can slide it left and right. I'm going to have it be whole numbers, and I'm going to have it 0 through something like 20. So now I can take down all the way from here to here. So now if I go to the player, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to create an empty. I'm going to call this Health Manager. On this I'm going to have the Player Health Manager. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create my own method. I'm going to make this public so I can access it from other scripts, and I'm going to make this a void called TakeDamage. Then I'm going to put in a float called AmountofDamage. Then within this is where I want it to be, to where I'm going to actually take the damage. I'm going to need to reference my health slider, which is the slider that is right here on the health bar. So I'm going to do enter, and then I'm going to make a public GameObject HealthSlider. I'm going to make a public float for the MaxHealth, and then a public float for the CurrentHealth. Then on startup, I'm going to set it to where the MaxHealth is going to be equal to the, and I'm actually going to make this a slider instead of GameObject. And because of that, I have to go up here, and then I have to add a new using tag, which is using UnityEngine.UI. Then I'm going to go down here and then set the MaxHealth equal to the HealthSlider.maxValue. I'm going to set it to where the CurrentHealth is then going to be equal to the MaxHealth. Then I'm going to have it be to where if I take the damage, I want my current health to then minus equal. So, basically make it take however much my current health is equal to, and then make it subtract the amount of damage. Then, I'm going to make in the update, I'm going to set it to where the HealthSlider .value is going to be equal to my current health. So I'm going to save this. And then right here for the health slider, I'm going to drag in the health bar. So that slider. And then I am then going to go to my enemy. And to see the enemy, you just have to see the last videos. But even if you just want like a spike or something that's going to damage you, then you can just do the same thing. So basically, on the object that you want to damage you, in this case it's the enemy, I want to make sure he has a box collider, and I want to mark that as being isTrigger. These are the AI scripts I added in the last couple videos. But if you just wanted to, again, be like spikes or something, all you need to have is a box collider with an is. Or not isTrigger. If you want to pass through it and then it hurt you, you can, like, if it were to be like spikes or something, then you can mark it as being isTrigger. And then you can just pass through it. But I want to actually collide with it, so I'm going to just have it be a box collider. I'm going to add a script called PlayerIsHit, and then I'm going to add and create an ad. So, in this script, I'm going to remove these starting methods. I'm going to add a public, or not a public void, but a void on collision, enter, 2D. And if it were to be a trigger, then you just do void on collision or on trigger, enter. And if you set it to auto fill in, then it'll show up like with this second portion. But yeah, because if you could just straight up just remove these, I'm just gonna copy them so I can just paste them back in. But if I were to remove those, whatever I would put in this would basically check to see if anything collides with this game object. That's gonna happen. Whatever I put in that. But that's the reason why you would have this is how you can check to see what specifically hit it. And to do that, you would have to do if, and then you'd use whatever you name this. I could change that. I could just make that like other or object. But in this case, collision is fine. And then you put that tag right, or that name right there. So I would do collision dot game object dot, and then this is where you could put the name, and then set that equal to the name of the object you want to check to see if you collided with. You could do dot tag is equal to, and then whatever you want to check to see, like if it has that specific tag. In this case, I'm just going to do compare tag, which is pretty similar to the tag, but I can just do this, and then whatever I put in this is the tag. So I'm going to do the tag player. So it basically checks to see if the object with the tag player, and in this case I want the player to have that tag. So if I go to the player game object, which is the game object I can move, and then go to the tag, I want to add the player tag, and it should automatically be there, but if for whatever reason it isn't, you can just go to add tag. You can add a tag and then just name it like something like player. But if you named it something like, you can name it whatever you want and then just use that tag. But in this case I'm just going to use the player tag. So if I go back over to the enemy, and then in the script, I can basically check to see if I collided with the player, or if the enemy collided with the player, I want this to happen. And basically what I want to happen is I want this to happen. So I'm going to public PlayerHealthManager. I'm just going to call it something like PHM. And I'm going to set to a PHM.TakeDamage. And this is where I want to slide in how much damage I want to take. So if I do 10, I'll take 10 points of damage, and keep note that the player I set to have 20 points of damage in total. So if I do 20, it'll, take all the health off the player. So in this case, I just want to do something like, let's say, 5. So a decent amount of damage. So then if I save this, then go out, under the PlayerIsHit for the Player Health Manager, I want to drag in the Health Manager. because that's the game object that has the player health manager on it. So if I click play, I should lose that much damage, or that much health. So you can see I lose 5 points of damage every time I hit him. But as you can see, when I lose all my health, nothing happens. So I can set it up to where, not in the PlayerIsHit, but in the Player Health Manager, in the update method, which is just called every frame that the game is running, I can do to where if the current health, which is how much health I actively have, is less than or equal to 0, so basically meaning it fully went out, I can set it up to where it's going to activate Game Over. Now I already created a whole thing on the Game Over and how it works, but yeah, all I want to do is basically enable the Game Over. So to do that, I'm going to create another reference. I'm going to do a public game object. I'm going to call it Game Over, and I'm going to set it to where GameOver.SetActive is true. Now, if you watch that Game Over script, then that would make sense to you, but if you didn't, you can watch it, or something that's really simple to do is if you don't want a whole Game Over section, and I'm actually just going to show what will happen if I add that in. But then I will also show you if you don't have the Game Over, what else you can do. So if I save that, then go out. Under the Game Over, I'm just going to drag in my Game Over panel. So now if I click play, and I collide with him 4 times because he takes away 5 points of damage, it will activate Game Over with either the continue or the main menu buttons. And if I click main menu, it's going to take you to the main menu. Continue will continue the game. So something else you can do too is if you don't have that whole Game Over set up, under this I can have it to where I'll have to add a new using tag. So I'm just going to duplicate this and then just do using UnityEngine.SceneManagement. And then down here I can go into the, instead of making that true, I can just do the scene manager dot load scene, and parentheses, go back into the scene manager, and I can get the active scene, and I can do that from the build index. So basically that line of code basically just gets, or basically just loads the scene that you're actively on. Now I know that might seem complicating. Another thing you can do is just do scene manager dot load scene and then do the name of the scene in quotation marks. You can do the build index number with like 1, 2, whatever. I'm going to show you what all those mean. And then also if you wanted to load the next scene, you could just add 1, or you can subtract 1 to load the previous scene, or you can do whatever you really want with that. So if I go out and back into the game, something you do have to make sure is if you go to the File, Build Settings, that your scene is on here, that the scene that you want to load. So you got to make sure all your scenes are on here, and to do that you have to go to your project, and you can drag your scenes from your project window into the scenes or into the build. Or you can, if you're on the scene that you want to add, you can just click Add Open Scenes. So if I click play and then I lose all my health, it's gonna reload this scene. So it just reloads the scene that I'm on. But since I have the whole thing set up, all I'm gonna do is GameOver.setActive true. So that's all you have to do. And I will just go over one more thing that's useful. If I go to my enemy and then go down to PlayerIsHit, you can also add another variable up here and make that a public float. Call this damage, and then set it up to where it's going to take damage. So that means the amount of damage you're going to take is whatever you set take damage to being. So if it's 0, I'm going to take 0 points of damage. Let's say I set it up to be something like 10. Each time I hit him, it's going to take half of my damage. Well, it's half of my health. So if I collide with him, see it takes away half of my health, it takes away the other half. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and yeah, next video, don't exactly know what I'm gonna do, but I hope you guys enjoyed, and join me for the next video, where I'm gonna be covering over another function in Unity.